you struggle to think where United really are. And if we were going to do a power ranking of Premier League teams right now, they wouldn't be top 6.
Probably somewhere in between the Colorado Rapids and Toronto FC, if we're being honest.
To the football, understanding its significance and insignificance as we discuss it. Manchester City 4, Manchester United 1. The noisy neighbours continue to blast their operatic football with impunity and again assert their dominance over their crosstown rivals. KDB, whoa, he was in the mood, started the scoring in the 5th minute, steering home a red-hot Bernardo pullback. United did pull level on the 22nd minute with a quite lovely Jadon Sancho finish, but another KDB close-range finish and a pair of exquisite second-half Riyad Mahrez thumpers emphasise the gulf, excuse the pun, in class between these two clubs. City stay top, 6 points ahead of Liverpool, with a game in hand.
This matchup felt like a seismic imbalance going in. The hosts, clear and clinical, their identity, their collective system, squaring up to a fading power, forever in search of both of those qualities. Hence, the 19-point gap between the two teams before a ball was kicked. A number that really is a symbol of the extent to which City are just smarter, more functional, more strategic on and off the field in every single department, and just the chaos was evident at United. Really, the moment that the starting 11s were announced, no Varane, no Shaw, no Ronaldo, Cristiano, out with a hip flexor. I use just little air quotes around that word. Not everyone believes him, as social media shows he was hanging out with his sister in Portugal, who gave the most powerful statement anyone in the world can make, which was liking a post on social media that made it clear that Ronaldo was injury-free, which caused, obviously, an ensuing tabloid frenzy. But according to poor Ralph, quote, "I have to believe my medical department. Our doctor came to see me Friday morning before training, said Cristiano couldn't train because of some problems with his hip flexor." And the same Saturday, Davo, well, there's just a sense that there is a now swirling borderline civil war in that supremely dysfunctional United dressing room right now, irrespective of whether Ron was actually injured. Just chaos. Just that whole United culture just seems like it's in chaos.
Yeah, and especially cast your minds back. That chaos could have hit Manchester City. Man United hijacked a Manchester City deal for Cristiano Ronaldo, or what we all believed was a deal. And yeah, it has been utterly chaotic. It added chaos upon the chaos that already existed. And, once again, it further strengthens the idea that United are just a collection of these amazing individuals, but there is absolutely no team there whatsoever.
I was hoping that Ralph would field Chris Ormas as the false 9. He could have gone Rashford, but my God, what a fall he's had in status inside Old Trafford. Just 2 starts in the last 11, starting to seem distinctly Lingardian, and it makes my heart ache to watch both of those gents. Instead, Ralph tried to take a leaf out of the Pep book, Oh Great Management Magic, tried to go no out-and-out striker, false 9, but credit United. Whatever they put on the field, it worked for, an entire 5 minutes until City mounted their first proper attack. Bernardo and Grealish linking up, Foden causing chaos off the ball with a run which took Harry Maguire out of the game. And up stepped De Bruyne to wrap home his 50th league goal. I mean, it almost felt like game over in that second.
Yeah, they were playing just a version of football, it's so different. When Pep started at Man City, remember the game was just incredibly horizontal. If you put like one of those golf traces that traces a golf ball on the sort of the angles of their passes, they almost try to cover every single inch of the entire pitch with the ball from player to player within the first 7 minutes. It's almost as though they sort of like trying to desperately colour in all of the lines. It was just an amazing goal, as I think Arlo pointed out, Kevin De Bruyne in the mood completely from the beginning. And yeah, a great goal.
Watching United lumber round without evident plan, like a Drake bet on Masvidal, so open on their right-hand side. City, honestly, seemed to play without any fear, which is possibly why, feeling too confident, United suddenly struck back. It was more than a goal in the moment. It was actually a reminder that football makes a fool out of all of us. And City, if they have a weakness, they are susceptible to pace in transition when teams charge from back to front at warp speed through their high line, a stunning vulnerability which United suddenly exploited via Jadon Sancho, a player, remember, who'd been at City from the age of 14, arriving as a wunderkind, and it was Alanga, Pogba and Fernandes who combined to feed him, swept around Walker, cracked the ball home, and suddenly, Davo, United, fleetingly without Ronaldo, proved they could be more mobile, more clinical without their false messiah.
Yeah, great individual play, great finish. One of the few times in that first half that Man United got, more than one or two players forward. There were actually players ahead of Sancho when he shot that ball, which was very rare. It reminded me constantly of, when you start playing FIFA and you just really struggle on how to get players into the offensive area. You constantly got one player with the ball and nobody to pass to moving forwards. And that sort of was United for the whole of that first half. But this was a great moment, a great finish. And suddenly, game on. It looked like we were going to have a real Manchester derby, Rog.
False dawn! From that point on, United looked vulnerable every time City walked the ball down that right. Grealish often the weapon. Wan-Bissaka the target. Harry Maguire, bless, so cumbersome in club football. So different the game than the international football where we learnt to love and fear and watch Slabhead excel. That's a game that needs more passion, less tactics. But here, besides Lindelof, who also seemed lost, the City's press forced United to cough it up over and over and over. And a moment of self-sabotage, Davo, that when you watched was actually slapstick comedy at an elite level. Comedians we've had on our show will tell you, slapstick comedy, actually one of the hardest forms to pull off convincingly. So you've got to credit United, Davo, for the way they did it.
Yeah. Slow motion is really not Harry Maguire's friend, Rog. Yeah, it was another sort of penetrating, incisive move. Phil Foden, beats the line, controls the ball in the most incredible way. I mean, Phil Foden, his muscles are made of a different fabric than regular human beings. He's just so bouncy, Rog. He's just so lithe. Slams the ball against De Gea. It comes back, rebound one, comes back straight through Maguire's legs. And and then shot comes again, another save or blocked, and then who's there? KDB again slaps it home.
The way Lindelof mistimed his clearance header, we popped it up as an Instagram reel. Just a whiff of amazement for an elite defender. And then Harry Maguire's just like, hold my beer. He managed to both be nutmegged. And I think if you watch it in replay, KDB actually just rips Maguire's underpants off with one hand on the plate. Just like pulling off a tablecloth and leaving the plates there. It was astonishing to watch. And one of the motifs of Rangnick's United is they take one half on and one half off. And that was their half on, Davo. They still lost it 2-1. But the second half, not great, Bob. United sitting deep, not really able to live in the same zip code of City's press. And you watch that United back line and you add up how much it cost. I think 180 million on Lindelof, Harry Maguire and Wan-Bissaka alone. And you just see how incredibly dysfunctional. That's really, for me, the ultimate symbol. How dysfunctional the club's recruitment process has been, because there has been so much self-harming in their decline along the way. It's almost as if we're watching City TikTok, and in comparison, United look like MySpace.
I think so much of it also is because, individually, we've seen Lindelof do some amazing things this year. We've seen, Alanga do. I mean, we've seen all of these players have their moments, as you mentioned earlier. Maguire, so good at international level, struggles at club level. But it's almost as though the only thing they can do, United, is hit you on the counter. There's no sense that by going against them offensively that you are going to open up yourselves to anything beyond that one incisive move that tends to come down the middle, not wide, and come at you. And if you can shut them down, you're going to score against them again and again and again.
As City started to do the third City goal, was it Rodri who set a pick to create room for Mahrez to lash home a superbly floated KDB set piece? The Algerian shot scraping Harry Maguire on its way to add salt into the wound. Cue the Poznan for the delirious City fans. They knew the truth. Their City had barely had to get out of second gear here. I mean, the gap between these two teams so deep, so wide. And from that point on, United, this is what was most shocking for me. They seemed resigned. There was no leadership, no evident concern, no fight. Most damningly of all, no evidence of effort, Davo. in a Manchester bloody derby. That's what I couldn't understand. If I were a United fan, that is what made this just worse to watch than a Kanye video in which he buries Pete Davidson alive. Honestly, to me, this is the ultimate way to describe it. It was not unlike watching Everton let a derby spiral away from them, which I've watched over and over and over. 92% possession, that's the stat which captured it, which has been widely bandied around for City after Mahrez made it 4-1, wrapping home a laser off De Gea's face. I mean, that is the level of humiliation, Davo. 92% possession.
Yeah, amazing. And we have to credit Manchester City that they made them look awful. They raised their game in a huge game for them.
Without really needing to try, though.
But they were so good, Rog. They were so good. Just their movement, the movement of that City team, it is just unbelievable. And, credit them. Yes, they made United look worse than ordinary.
Yeah, and I'll say that I'm an Everton fan, as you know. And the Merseyside derby, when I was a kid, it used to be massive, a national must-see with title-deciding ramifications until Everton just fell off the pace, and it's become more a local thing about local bragging rights. That did not happen overnight. It happened slowly over time. And there is a scenario, I thought about it a lot watching this. If United don't change the system and their chaotic approach to building a football team, really to modernise, that could happen here. United slide into 5th, below Arsenal. Should be noted, yes, this was just Rangnick's second loss in his 16, is it? Games in charge. But yes, this was also his first game against one of the big 6 in over 3 months. And the outcome was really more than just a drop 3 points and falling out of the top 4. In terms of what happens now, if they do not get that Champions League place, that is the big concern for United fans. If they do not make the Champions League, having spent 1.46 billion, is it, in pursuit of closing the gap between them and City, and a title that they've never really come closer to over the course of a lost decade since Sir Alex retired, the gap has only become wider and wider, Davo. Missing out on Champions League economically, symbolically, it's going to hurt this club so very badly.
Especially when you look at the teams around them, you look at how well Arsenal are playing, which we'll get to. You look at still how well Chelsea are playing despite all of the distractions. And I'm not saying they don't have problems. They're not at the level of Man City or Liverpool, but they are playing significantly better than Manchester United. A Tottenham who are incredibly inconsistent. West Ham who bought everything against Liverpool. You struggle to think where United really are. And if we were going to do a power ranking of Premier League teams right now, they wouldn't be top 6.
Probably somewhere in between the Colorado Rapids and Toronto FC, if we're being honest. But City hold serve in the neck and neck with Liverpool now as they pursue their 4th title in 5 years. That is a remarkable achievement that we don't reflect upon enough because it's almost become a norm. In this relentless competition, it is the Premier League. There was a shot of Pep near the end of the game on the sideline, staring at his team who were 4-1 up. A shot which held for about 15 or 16 seconds. And Pep didn't blink once. And I looked at it, I was like, oh my God, Manchester City are just like that, a collective who barely blink. They are 22 points ahead of their local rivals after just 28 games. That itself is an unfathomable achievement. To win a Manchester derby, let's just say that, without any tension or anger or really having to even fight, to hear your fans in the second half just burst out the old chestnuts, just singing the Paulo Torre song. But let's entertain ourselves. Let's dig deep into the back catalogue. It's a sign of just how lacking in tension the 90 minutes was as a competitive spectacle. Everyone knows, Davo, for City, for Pep, the Manchester derby is now just a local rumble, a game which is dwarfed by the prospect of the games against Liverpool to come.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the real game this weekend. Man City versus Liverpool, and they weren't even playing each other.